Alright, we are live. So, today we're going to be playing Stonehouse Orphanage, which is another free indie game. I've gone ahead and linked to the itch.io page in the description, and apparently some kids have gone missing. I'm sure they're fine, right? So, how's the audio coming? Good voice, good music, etc.? Levels alright? Well, let's hope so. I scared you? Yeah, I did suddenly come on, but it is time to stream, so that is when I am here. Not late today. Now, I do understand that this is probably going to be a shorter game, so I've got some of that short horror storybook to read as well. So stick around after the game if you want to hear a one chapter, which is its own self-contained horror story, about 15 minutes long. I'll read it out. Okay, Stonehouse Orphanage. Oh wait, you know what? Maybe I should keep the cursor. Let me change that real quick. There we go. Yeah, okay, cool. Because it's got its own custom cursor, so I figure that's something that needs to show up in the game. Let's see. Yeah, if anyone's having any issues with the stream, just make sure to reload. Looks like that's what's fixing it. Use WASD keys to move. Okay, that was fast. It's the door you came in through. Alright. 14 seconds and counting. Now, I did see the first, 20 seconds of Markiplier's playthrough. When the nun came to the door, I was like, okay, I gotta play this. I gotta do this. Use left mouse to interact. Yeah, but I thought, is this me? This looks like a door, right? Oh wait, no, maybe it's just the paneling. But I swear it looks kind of like a door. Two dour faces stare on. They seem to disapprove of you. Oh, do they? Okay, maybe I was wrong. It looks like that's just a tear. It's just pixelized. Ah, well. Sister Maria, welcome to Stonehouse Orphanage. I'm Sister Maria. What can I do for you? Ooh, boy. Okay, so we have two options here. Option 1, I'm investigating reports of children going missing from your establishment, or I'd heard about your services. Do you give tours? All right, guys, how are we going to play this? Are we going to right off the bat say we're a detective looking into the missing children? Or are we going to try and play it cool? Although it really is suspicious with that second option, because who's ever heard of an orphanage giving tours, right? Option 1 sounds like death. 2, everyone wants a tour. Okay, you guys. Gonna make this nun give us a tour. Great. I know why you're here. Fuck. This is about those missing children, isn't it? It's unfortunate, but not all souls accept the care we provide. Do come in. Let me show you around. Alright, so busted. I should have known better than to lie to a nun. Pretty sure that's automatic hell, right? Alright. This is our sitting room, as you can see. We interview prospective parents here. Sometimes I read the children their verses here, if they're well behaved. Why don't we talk here? Actually, you know what? This is great, but okay, fine. Yeah, all right, we'll talk here. Let's have a look around though first. The toys' placement looks off, as if they were posed. Yeah, it is a little too neat, like the thing is stacked up and it's all on top of each other. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look messy enough to be actual, Oh, fuck. Alright, is it too late to play a different game? I'm bringing it out of here. It looks like the Virgin Mary, but she's dressed in all black. Oh, fuck. Oh, God, Excuse me, sister. Leave some space for Jesus between us. Okay. Very well, let us begin. Is your camera recording? It has been for a while. Actually, I'm kind of low on battery. I really hope that's not gonna be a thing. Asking first would have been polite, and probably how you do it legally, I'm sure. Well then, what do you wish to know? All right, we got some questions here. Do you run the orphanage by yourself? Who were the children who went missing? Where are the children now? And I'd like to see the rest of the orphanage. Okay, yeah, let's find out if there's anyone else in this operation here. I do indeed. It's a lifetime of work, but it truly is my calling. Okay, who are the children who went missing? A boy and a girl, 5 and 7 years old. That's a little young to go missing. I mean, teenage runaways are one thing, but it's such a tragedy, truly. Awful things happen to children left on their own. Wasn't it your job to look after them? Where are they now? Around, dear. They're around. They're very independent, if a little shy. All right, I'd like to see the rest of the orphanage. Very well, let's continue. Oh man, we're gonna die. We are so dead. Oh, everyone takes turns cooking in this house. We all take care of each other here. That was a cockroach, my God. I just finished preparing the soup for tonight. Why don't you try some? I just ate. You know that shit's poisoned, right? I've seen so many horror movies where the detective's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take some coffee, go ahead, and then they're dead. They have labels, but there's no writing on them. Weird. You put any children in your oven there, lady? Huh? I guess not. I'm definitely not eating any of that. Oh, that's a lot of crosses. That's a lot of crosses. Wait, what? Why is one of them upside down? That's like a big no-no, I think. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it was. Oh, I'm not gonna get to... You know what? I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna eat that freaking soup. That's weird. Fuck! I hate this game. Okay, fine, I'll eat the soup, whatever. This pot is full of rust-colored stew. Okay, that was legitimately startling me. What if the soup is the child? Some haunted ground shit right there, if that's true. Where do you think the children went? What kind of stew is this? Do you pray before meals? Where do you think the children went? Nowhere that's better than here, sweet lamb. Of that you can be certain. What kind of stew is this? Oh, it's a touch of this and a smidge of that, otherwise known as children. The ingredients change day to day, according to what we can afford. I trust in the Lord to provide. Do you pray before meals? Of course, we pray like this, with bread on our table and drink in each glass. Together we thank you. Kiss my ass. Okay, just before we all pass. Great. Oh, can it escape? Oh, fuck. Okay, well, That's what escape does. It kills the game. I wondered. I was like, wait a minute. All right, let's try that again. Well, the good news is it did get me out of that situation, just saying. So freaking dumb. I can't believe I did that. Why do you guys watch this? All right, I'm just going to make all the same choices I made beforehand. Here's Sister Maria. Oh, shit, I picked the wrong... Well, at least you get to see what the new dialogue is. I'm assuming there's not multiple endings. Runaways, not missing. My dear lamb. Yeah, well, here's the thing. 5 and 7 is a little young to run away. It's unfortunate, but not all souls accept the care we provide. Do come in. Let me show you around. Yeah, okay, great, cool. This is our sitting room, as you can see. We've already done this. Let me just get back to where we were. I can't believe I did that. So freaking dumb. Okay. And then let me just try. Yeah, door we came through. Can't wait to never leave. Oh, God. I hate her. I hate her. Very well, let us begin. Is your camera recording? Asking first would have been polite. Okay, we'll just run through the questions real quick. I swear she twitches. It's not just the pixelation and the camera. She jerks. Actually, she's got different twitches. Yeah, that's weird. She's got one that her head does, and then she's got one that her whole body does. Yeah, see, there was the head one. That's really good. I don't know who made this game, but it's in the description, but that's a really interesting attention to detail there for an indie game, like a little short indie game. I want to see more by the person who made this game, absolutely. There's always a glitch ending with me. Yeah. I can't get past her. Yeah, I'm like literally stuck here. Oh, never mind. But that's interesting. I figured I could pass through her if I got stuck, but no. She lingers. It's a bibble. You don't recognize the addition. Don't. Marion Black. Last time she was right behind me when I did that. This time, not so much. Is it randomized? Because if so, that's a pretty interesting thing to program into this very short game. A photo of Sister Maria surrounded by children. I hate you. God, I hate you. Okay, alright. Everyone takes turns cooking. Okay, so we've already done this. I'm gonna have to eat the freaking soup. Okay. No labels, or labels, but they're not marked. I know she's gonna do it. I know she's gonna appear behind me, but it still freaks me out so much. Maybe it's if I keep my back too long to her. God, this place sucks. Okay. God, this place sucks. Okay, alright. The pot is full of rust-colored stew. Okay, where do you think the children went? Nowhere that's better than here. It's the same thing. What kind of stew is this? Do you pray? Alright, it's gonna end on drink the stew. I'm sure it's drugged. Yeah, how could it not be drugged? It churns in your stomach. Yeah, look at that. We shouldn't be tipsy after eating the stew, lady. Where's the nun? Where's the freaking nun? Oh my god. I was clicking too much. It said, "Are you finished?" Something. Are you finished with your stew? Oh, lady. Oh my god, we're dead. We're so freaking dead. We're so freaking dead. Oh my god. This is where the children sleep and make their prayers in the evening. You're looking a bit unsteady, my dear. Why don't you lie down for a bit? You may leave your camera there on the tray. How about I not? How about I not? Oh god, I'm not putting the camera down. Why would you drink anything from this horribly suspicious nun with the missing kids? I keep expecting her to just morph and run at the camera with a screech or something. What's behind you? What is that? Oh, bedrolls. God, this is a nightmare. Well... freaking dumbass detective. Oh no, I'm still controlling him. Is there a punch button? Why is she so huge? Oh my god. Look how big she is. I'm a detective. Look how big she is. Either I am a tiny, tiny detective, or that is one Amazon of a nun. Oh no. 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 Nunruto. I don't want to do this. Oh. Let me try going to the end of the room. I thought I saw something else. I'm getting flashbacks to Alone in the Dark, like the very first game. Still controls better than that game, honestly. Nothing? I'm probably not supposed to be over there. She's not even looking at me. She's still looking at the camera. All right. Bedtime it is. We just levitate over to it. That's much better. Oh my god. Just rest, little lamb. Well, I told you, man, that soup. If you're an investigator or a police officer, you don't drink none of that when you're investigating someone. Okay, well, there was that. Probably more like a 5-minute game that I turned into a 20-minute experience by crashing it once and, okay. Oh, that's why you never got to see the back of her. I was like, yeah, she's always facing you. I thought that was just like a stylistic choice because, you know, I think back in the days of like Doom and some other games, they really were flat sprites that only had one side. And I know some games mimicking that style will do that, but in this case, it wasn't just a style; it was a story choice. Why did your stream lag when she broke the cam? Man, Sister Marie is coming after you. Lock your door. 15-minute gameplay and now 15-hour reading. Probably not. Probably more like 20-minute reading. Let's hope anyway. Okay. Tell you what, this is pretty good music. So, I think... Alright, so yeah, that was the game. If you were only here from the game, feel free to hop off. But we will now be reading a little bit from an old 90s, I guess not too old, a 90s horror story kind of anthology called Night Terrors by Jim Murphy. And each chapter is its own little scary story, except for really short chapters in the beginning where it's a gravedigger that's just kind of telling the tale. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, we can go for another, like, 30 minutes, I think. There we go. You're gonna go since it's late here in the UK, so you hope you get the Henry Stigman collection. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming, Blue Shy Guy, and it was nice to talk to you. Yeah. For anyone that isn't aware, remember those old, like, bank heist games where you were, like, this guy, and he was kind of a stick man, but he had, you know, an actual face and stuff, and you had to, like, choose, make your choices about how to break in, and, you know, funny stuff would happen. There was a whole series, but I really only played the one where you were trying to get the gem, I think. And there's, like, a jailbreak one. Well, apparently, according to Blue Shy Guy, the guy who made it has put them all in a collection, I think with some bonus stuff as well on Steam. I think you can get it for like $14. I'm a little behind money-wise buying all these scary games, so I'll probably hold off on that. But yeah, if you're interested, trip down memory lane, you know. Let's see, you've got Thunder and Lightning for Atmosphere. Lucky. Let's see. Mark played the new one if you want to check it out. Wait, what? New what? Oh, that's right. Mark played the new Stickman game. That's right. I saw that. I'd rather play it myself than watch him do it, but I probably wouldn't make it like a stream game. I'm trying to stick mostly to like horror and mystery and stuff, but yeah, definitely good games. Alright, and again, this is a live reading. I haven't pre-read it, so I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not exactly prepared for it, so I'm probably going to make flubs and have to reread sentences, but yeah, that's live reading for you. Okay, here we go. Chapter 7. The Worst Day of My Life. Working at Holy Conception Cemetery wasn't bad at all, though sometimes things got hectic. Like the winter we had... Oh, by the way, this is the chapter where the gravedigger is continuing to tell stories. We've seen him in other chapters. He's not involved with the actual kind of like horror stories themselves, but he's just kind of sitting there telling you about his life, like where he grew up, how he got into grave digging. So that's who this is here. I'll just restart. Working at Holy Conception Cemetery wasn't bad at all, though sometimes things got hectic. Like the winter we had 3 big snowfalls, real blizzards. People started freezing up right and left, and I had to get a lot of holes dug in a hurry. Times like that, Alan Allen would help me. Hard to believe, right? A one-legged old man digging graves in freezing weather. But there he was, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, and swinging a pick like a 25-year-old in the middle of summer. Of course, I laughed myself silly the first time I saw him in action. Wham! That pick would hit the hard earth, and Alan Allen would start bouncing all around on his one leg trying to stay balanced. Wham! Bounce, 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 wham, bounce, bounce. I almost hurt myself, it was so funny. Alan Allen didn't think it was funny. So he fixed me a stare that would have stopped a 60-car freight train. "Keep on laughing," he warned, "and the next thing this pick hits'll be that head of yours." Alan Allen had that look on his face when he said this, you know, the one halfway between being dead serious and pulling your leg. Since he had wiry, strong arms for someone his age and he could bounce along real fast too, I thought better of pushing him too far. After that, I had to bite the inside of my cheeks to stop from laughing, and sometimes I had to make like I was having a coughing fit to hide the smile on my face. Then it happened, like it always seems to. Like that saying goes, to every good thing there's something or other, I don't know, something not good, I guess. You can tell I'm not fond of wise old sayings. So one day I'm working along, happy as anything. The next day, the cemetery is completely filled. Not an inch of burying space left. Oh, I'd seen it coming for a couple of years. You couldn't miss it, the way the graves were eating up the space. No matter. It was still a shock when I dug that last hole and the owner said they'd be closing up shop. They offered to keep me on, said they needed somebody to pick up trash, rake leaves, and chase kids away. But I wouldn't feel right unless I was digging. Something about standing 6 feet in a hole that will be somebody's home for all time that made me feel good, like I was making something that would last for eternity. Anyway, before we begin a new hole, we have to enter its number in a logbook. This grave was number 4192, which also happened to be the exact same number of days I'd worked at Holy Conception Cemetery, and the exact number of hits that baseball player, the one who went to jail for cheating on his taxes, what's his name? Pete Rose, got in his career. I'm not the superstitious kind, mind you, but this all struck me as too much of a coincidence, as if somebody somewhere was trying to tell me something. So, the day number 4192 was done, I quit, pure and simple. Wasn't easy leaving, but I figured the faster I did it, the better. I packed my bag and headed out the door that same day. Alan Allen bouncing along behind me. "What's your hurry?" he asked, but I think he knew, and I think he agreed too. Just before I was about to walk down the path and out of the place, Alan Allen shoves this fat envelope into my hand. "I thought you'd run out like this, so I wrote this story a couple of days ago. Only you can't read it now or anytime soon either. You can only open it when you're miserable, when you know you're having the worst day of your life." "What if I never have a worst day of my life?" I asked. "Then you can't ever open it here, ever." I must have smiled or something, because he added in this threatening tone, "'Cause if you do, you will be cursed for all time by dark, dangerous forces. Now get moving, and don't forget what I said, dark and dangerous forces." Like always, Alan Allen smiled at the end, so I wasn't sure if he was joking or not. This isn't one of those shaggy dog stories, is it? I asked. From my first day with Alan, he'd been telling me weird tales about a wild dog that hung around Holy Conception, how it appeared only at night and was trying to communicate with him. See what I mean about being weird? And lately his stories were even stranger, something about eyes glowing red in the dark and such. "Wolf," he said, dead serious. "I told you it's a wolf." "Sure," I said as I went down the stairs. "I've heard that New Jersey has a big wolf problem." "Just wait," he called after me, "and you'll see." This time he didn't laugh or smile at all. To be safe, I stuck the envelope in my back pants pocket and forgot all about it. I'd always been lucky finding work before, but not this time. The war, this was the Second World War in case you're counting, was just over, so there were lots of able-bodied young men floating around, and some of them even went into the grave digging trade. A couple of places down in Maryland offered me jobs, but they wanted me to use machines to dig the graves. Seems the insurance companies decided it was too dangerous to climb into the grave and shovel out dirt like people had done for thousands of years. Now you had to use these big metal monsters that could cut your legs off if you sneezed at the wrong time. You figure it out. I kept moving south, reading the newspaper ads and stopping in at every cemetery along the way. No luck. It was summer on top of it all, hot and humid and sticky with green flies smacking into my face from all sides. I was in South Carolina in a tiny town near the Coosawhatchie River when I just about gave up on grave digging. You heard right, almost gave it all up. There was a brand new textile plant just opening and a big sign out front said, "Now hiring." I went in to see what jobs they had, and before the man in the personnel office had time to see if I had a pulse, he told me I was hired. Just like that. Next thing I knew, he was showing me where I'd be working, weaving machine number 347. It was in this gigantic room filled with hundreds of other weaving machines, all of them clicking and clacking and thrumming along like one huge metal heart. The noise was deafening, and the personnel man suggested I stuff cotton in my ears during my shift if the noise bothered me. I knew I could never work in a place like that. Don't get me wrong, some good people work in big factories, and that's okay with me. It just wasn't for me. Made me feel closed in, trapped. Besides, I couldn't see going around all day looking like a bunny rabbit with cotton in my ears. I said thanks, but no thanks, and went and sat on the banks of the Coosawhatchie, watching the muddy brown water flowing by and swatting at flies. That's when I figured I was probably having the worst day of my life, and it was safe to open Allen's letter. I read the first line, and you could have pushed me over and into the river easy. Allen wrote, "You're in South Carolina right now, feeling worthless and trying to keep the flies off." How'd he know I was in South Carolina? I wondered. Or about the flies. I mean, Allen is a smart man, but this was something else. Scary, even. I didn't want to read the letter after this, so I dropped it on the grass and put a rock on top of it. What if he predicted a tractor pulling a plow was going to run me over and shred my body into 1,000 tiny pieces? I figured if I didn't read it, it couldn't come true. There I sat, the Coosawhatchie rolling past, the flies buzzing around my head, the letter by my side. Minutes crept by and nothing changed. You could leave the letter there, or you could leave the letter here, walk down the road to that diner and have some lunch, I told myself. Or you can sit here like a lump and give in to your curiosity. What's it going to be? Thinking takes time. At least it does for me. So I didn't move for another 5-10 minutes. Somewhere in there I started to think other thoughts. Stuff like, since this is the worst day of my life, then what Allen has to say might put an end to it one way or the other. Besides, there was always something about Allen's nasty little stories, even those dog stories that cheered me up. Slowly, I picked up the letter. My hand shook a little and I was nervous when I started to read. Allen went on, "If this really is the worst day of your life, and it better be or else dark and dangerous forces will come for you, I figure you need something to cheer you up. So I wrote down this story just as it was told to me. I swear on the grave of the man who told me. He had a name for his story, but I forget it just now. If you want, you can give it a name yourself." so I did. Alright, that's the end of Chapter 7. The story that we're going to read right after that, which isn't going to be The Gravedigger if you're not familiar with this, it's going to be its own self-contained short horror story, will be Chapter 8, Cat's Eye. Let me grab some water real quick and then we'll launch right into Chapter 8. Let me see how long it is. Oh, shoot. It's a bit long. Well, about 20 pages. Okay, so worst case, we can always stop in the middle. Alright, if you want to get something, now's the time. It's gonna be about, 3-minute break. Because I gotta get a refill before I launch into this. Okay, I am back, and I do have to say, I did have a bit of a fridge thought there. Now that I think about it, that freaking stupid monster demon nun actually had to get on the floor and arrange those toys thinking, haha, yes, this is gonna fool everybody. You know what I mean? This is kind of a funny thought. Okay, so we're returning to the book, and it's gonna be a bit of a longer chapter than the one we just read. But again, it's one of the longer ones that we've read, actually. But worst case, we can always stop in the middle and pick it up next time. Chapter 8. The Cat's Eye. "This is boring," Kirsten said. She pushed herself out of the stiff chair she was sitting on and began walking across the living room toward the front door. "You're not going, are you?" Jessica asked. "We've only been here a little while." Kirsten stopped and turned to face Jessica. "You said we'd have fun, but all we've done is sit and watch these dopey cats sleep." Kirsten folded her arms across her chest. "How was I supposed to know they'd sleep all the time?" Jessica glanced around and found the 6 cats still stretched out on the sofa, windowsill and rug, eyes closed, and in no hurry to do anything interesting for their human company. Mrs. Hayward said that they can be a handful, wild even. "Wild?" Kirsten sighed dramatically. "I've had stuffed animals that were livelier." Kirsten's voice caused Maurice, lounging on the thick oriental carpet 10 feet from her, to open one green eye and stare at the source of annoyance. His eye never blinked. "What are you looking at?" Kirsten asked. She took a giant step toward Maurice and stamped her foot on the floor. In a flash, Maurice snapped into a sitting position, both eyes wide open. Kirsten laughed at the cat's worried expression. "Please don't do that," Jessica said. Mrs. Hayward, can't you change the tune once in a while? You're about as much fun as the cats." She took another step toward Maurice, which caused him to sprint from the room. A look of pleasure lit up Kirsten's face, but only for a second or two. When it faded, she plopped back down into the chair. "Now what?" Jessica searched the room, hoping she could think of something exciting to do, and fast. Ordinarily, Kirsten was great to hang around with, easygoing, loaded with energy, fast-thinking, and daring. Oh, Kirsten could be a little bossy, but that was okay with Jessica. There was something about her personality, its power really, that made Jessica feel important. But you could never tell what Kirsten would do when she got into one of her impatient moods. "Maybe there's something in the refrigerator," Jessica suggested. "Worth a try," Kirsten replied, vaulting from the chair again. "Let's go see." Jessica found herself following Kirsten out of the living room, through the dining room, and into a hallway that led into the kitchen. Mrs. Hayward's house was ancient, over 200 years old, and big, with rooms and hallways being added for each new generation of Haywards who lived there. Jessica thought the house was neat, even the way the rooms tilted and met with each other at odd angles and heights. "What a dump," Kirsten said as she stepped down into the kitchen. The wooden floor was scratched and stained by the tread of hundreds of Haywards. "Forget cat-sitting. She should have hired us to redecorate." "Us?" Jessica thought. Mrs. Hayward had really only hired Jessica for the job. It was Jessica who had persuaded the old woman to let her bring along her friend and split the $5 an hour she was to be paid. I guess it would be... Okay, I was trying to figure out who was saying this next sentence, and I guess it's Miss Hayward. "I guess it would be all right," Miss Hayward had said, "as long as she's trustworthy. My cats and this house mean a great deal to me. They're all I have, really." "Oh, yes, she is," Jessica had replied, hoping for the best. Now Kirsten was positioned in front of the old white Westinghouse refrigerator, eyeing it suspiciously. "Who has a refrigerator with a coil on top of it?" she wanted to know as she pulled the door open. "She's poor." "Oh, gross," Kirsten gasped, moving aside so Jessica could see what she was talking about. The lower shelf contained a few standard items: 6 eggs in a little green bowl, a half loaf of white bread in its plastic bag, butter and cheese on plates sealed in saran wrap. It was the large middle shelf that had caused Kirsten's outburst. On it were 6 opened and partly used cans of cat food, each carefully labeled with a cat's name, each exuding an overpowering odor. Maurice's name was on a can of Yum-Ums, chicken livers and kidneys. "I think I'm gonna barf," Kirsten said, making an exaggerated gagging sound. Before she could complete her performance, all 6 cats had assembled at the foot of the door and were meowing hungrily. Maurice edged ahead of the others and rubbed against Kirsten's leg. "Beat it," Kirsten mumbled, shoving Maurice aside with her leg and slamming the refrigerator shut. "Kirsten!" I know. Kicking the cats is strictly forbidden. Well, the least she could have done was have a can of Coke." Kirsten frowned and then started back to the living room. It had been such a good idea, Jessica thought. She and Kirsten would make some money without really having to do too much work. She'd also get to spend several hours alone with Kirsten, which would give Kirsten a chance to get to know her, really know her. Now Jessica was just one of 20 other freshman girls who hung around with Kirsten. If Jessica was lucky, she would go from just knowing Kirsten to being one of her best friends, and that would be a major step up socially for Jessica. Kirsten stopped at a sideboard to open a drawer and inspect the contents, and then again at the end table in the living room. Kirsten always was a little rude to people, Jessica remembered, but it always seemed neat before, especially when she did it to an adult. She was letting everyone know she was in charge, no questions asked. But this was different. She wasn't trying even a little bit to be friendly to Jessica, and she was being paid for it too. "Hey, way cool," Kirsten said as she held up something into the light. Jessica saw it glitter and moved closer to get a better look. At least Kirsten had stopped grumbling. "What is it?" Jessica asked. "A marble. A cat's eye. See?" Kirsten held the marble up so Jessica could see, but not touch it. It was a clear crystal marble with a green oval band in the center. Jessica had seen cat's eyes before, but never one like this. The crystal part gleamed so brilliantly it reminded her of a diamond, and the green oval wasn't just a flat green, it really did look like an eye, with the outside part, what would be the iris, a dark forest green color, fading to a lighter shade of green entirely. Richer somehow and eternally deep. If you looked at it long enough, you felt as if you could fall right into it. Now let me get some water, I'm sorry. I've still got that game menu up, and it's counting up. It's at like 26 minutes or so. It's really cool how it actually counts up that long on the time. Are they 10 years old? I'm guessing high school or junior high, maybe. Now we're getting someplace. Kirsten tossed the marble so high into the air its shadow danced across the ceiling for a second before it reached the top of its arc and headed back down. "Don't!" Jessica shouted, lurching forward to save the crystal before it shattered on the floor. Only she never caught it. Instead, Kirsten stepped in front of Jessica and made a one-handed catch of the marble. "Relax," Kirsten said. "Relax," Jessica thought, the anxiety of the past few minutes finally reaching the boiling point. You, she sputtered. "All my friends know how to relax, Jessie," Kirsten added, smiling. "My really good friends, that is." Really good friends? How could that be? Kirsten hadn't been having a very good time, and now, all of a sudden, she, Jessica Elizabeth Wyman, was one of Kirsten's good friends. Jessica's mind raced, still annoyed with Kirsten and yet startled and joyous at the same time. She had said good, Jessica reminded herself. Not just friend, but good friend. And she'd called her Jessie, too. Somehow Jessica had done it. She'd entered the inner circle. "You're a good sport, Jessie," Kirsten said. "Come on, let's explore this place." With that, Kirsten marched off toward the hall stairway. As she did, she slipped the cat's eye into her pocket and gave it a gentle pat. "Kirsten," Jessica began, then stopped. A good sport wouldn't badger Kirsten about taking a dumb marble. Jessica glanced at the open drawer of the end table and saw it was a jumble of papers, envelopes, rubber bands, coupons, strings, and sewing needles. Maybe Mrs. Hayward wouldn't even miss it. "Yeah?" Kirsten had stopped halfway up the stairs. Wait up, will you?" Jessica slammed the drawer closed and hurried to Kirsten. "This place gives me the creeps." "Tell me about it." The second-floor hallway was narrow, no more than 4 feet wide and very long, with all 10 doors on the front floor with all 10 doors on the front... I messed it up. Okay, sorry. One second. The second-floor hallway was narrow, no more than 4 feet wide and very long, with all 10 doors on the floor closed. Kirsten and Jessica split up to save time and began racing into rooms, searching for the interesting, odd, or bizarre. Aside from an ancient white-tiled bathroom that had a toilet with an overhead flush tank, the rooms were all pretty ordinary. Everyone had a small bed, a chair, an empty chest of drawers and with a mirror, an empty closet, and enough dust to say it hadn't been used in years. Only the last room in the hall was different. "Everything's dust-free," Jessica said after examining the furniture close up. "And the sheets look clean." "Pay dirt," Kirsten announced, a smile once again appearing. "This must be the old lady's room. She's got to have something worth finding in here." She immediately started rifling through the... She immediately started rifling through the dresser drawers, haphazardly pushing the carefully folded clothes aside. Jessica plopped herself down on the bed, content to watch. She'd given up trying to keep her new good friend in line, and she'd gone into several rooms she probably shouldn't have, but that didn't mean she had to ransack the place. One at a time, the cats entered the room and joined Jessica on the bed. "I can't believe it. Nothing," Kirsten announced after her first sweep of the room. She went back and did another search. "Maybe we should go downstairs," Jessica offered, stroking Maurice's nape and getting a contented purr in return. "Mrs. Hayward said she'd be back as soon as she finished her business." "It's locked," Kirsten said. She was at the closet, tugging at the doorknob. Why would she do that? Unless there was something worth locking inside. "Jessie, this is it. This is old lady Hayward's vault." "She said it wouldn't take long. Her business. Maybe we should leave the closet till the next time?" "There might not be a next time." Kirsten was already kneeling and squinting into the keyhole. "It's probably loaded with jewels and gold necklaces and stuff." "Or bodies," Jessica added with a shiver. "Bodies? Hey, neat. We'd be heroes. Jessie. All the papers would print our names. Imagine, Kirsten Richards of Mount Holly Drive discovers, and Jessica Elizabeth Wyman. Sure. Kristen Richards and Jessica Elizabeth Wyman discover the rotting corpses of... She looked toward Jessica. "Of every one of their teachers, especially Mrs. Pruneface Eastman. Rotting, smelly corpses," Kirsten added, laughing. "So, if you want to share the headlines with me, see if you can find the key." Well, Jessica still wasn't sure about going through Mrs. Hayward's closet, but at least Kirsten had stopped complaining, and the closet couldn't be all that big judging from the others they'd looked into. They'd be in and out in a few seconds. Reluctantly, she went over to the chest of drawers and began looking among the brushes, combs, pin boxes, and bottles on the top. "Try the drawers," Kirsten suggested. "I don't remember seeing any keys, but it might be worth a shot." Jessica pulled a drawer open and began rummaging through the articles of clothes, already mussed up from Kirsten's initial search. "No keys in this one," Jessica announced before going on to the next drawer. Just then, a tiny felt pin box fell to the floor, scattering its contents all over the place. When Jessica glanced up, Maurice was standing on top of the drawers, looking smugly down at her. "What are you doing, Maurice?" Jessica shouted. "Get off of there before you knock something else over." "We should have done something with that flea catcher downstairs," Kirsten remarked. "Kirsten, look." Jessica was holding a small, intricately designed skeleton key. It was in that box, the one Maurice knocked over. "Do you think—" But Kirsten had already grabbed the key and was back at the door, fitting it into the keyhole. "Yes!" she shouted. "It fits." The door swung open to reveal a tightly packed rack of clothes. Well, at least he was good for something. Now to see if there's anything in here. There was no overhead storage shelf, so Kirsten began going through the various boxes on the floor. Jessica came over and leaned against the door. "Anything there?" she asked. "Shoes," Kirsten replied. She began patting down the clothes hanging in the closet, just like a policeman might do to a criminal. "Doesn't she believe in rings or watches or something? There isn't even a quarter in any of these pockets." "She really is poor," Jessica said. "The house is all she owns." "That's what they all say." She emerged from the closet and was about to slam the door shut when Maurice leaped between the two girls and disappeared inside the closet. "Maurice, come out!" Jessica was leaning over to see under the dresses and coats. "Come on, boy." "Let's just close the door and leave him," Kirsten suggested. "We can't do that. He might suffocate." "Serve him right. Mrs. Hayward would notice he's missing right away." "So what?" "So she probably wouldn't pay us anything until she finds him, and then she'd know we'd been in her closet and—" Okay, I get the picture." Kirsten pushed aside the clothes and called for Maurice. Then she saw that there was another layer of clothes behind the first. "This closet is deeper than it looks." She pushed the second layer aside to reveal another. When she stepped forward, the first row of clothes swung back to conceal her from Jessica. "Kirsten?" Jessica leaned into the closet and moved the first layer of clothes aside. "Kirsten, can you hear me?" The second layer of clothes flew open to reveal a face just inches from hers, and Jessica jumped back. "You okay?" Kirsten asked. "You've got to see this, Jessie. It keeps going back, and it's loaded with stuff. She must have kept every dress she ever wore." Kirsten grabbed Jessica's hand and pulled her deeper into the closet. "There's a path between the clothes, so we can probably get to the back of the closet fast. Then we can search every inch as we work our way out again." "I don't know." But it was too late. Kirsten had gone ahead, and for some reason beyond logic, Jessica followed. Kirsten was right. A foot-wide space between the clothes zigzagged along and made walking easier. The door to the closet was open, so diffused light seeped in and let Jessica locate the path with little trouble for a while. Eventually, the light dimmed, and an eerie dusk settled around Jessica. The temperature had also gone up, and she felt sweat on her neck and forehead. "Kirsten, where are you?" Jessica stopped and began pushing dresses aside to see what was near her. A musky, stale smell surrounded her, and she felt the dead air of the closet begin to make her breathing labored. "Kirsten?" Jessica felt with her hand until she found a part in the line of clothes. She stepped into it, her hand groping in front for the path's route. Maybe Kirsten's lost in this mess, Jessica thought. She could turn around and find her way out, but what would Kirsten think of her then? Good friends don't abandon each other because of a little dark and heat. She moved forward. Kirsten? She heard a noise, a soft meowing somewhere in front of her. "Maurice! Here, boy, here! Kirsten, can you hear Maurice?" Her hand snaked forward now, locating the path with some skill. Even though it was dark in the closet, her eyes had adjusted enough for her to make out distinct shadows. A light clicked on in front of her. "Look what I found," Kirsten said, jiggling a flashlight in Jessica's face. "It's ancient, but the batteries work. And how about this?" She shone the flashlight on her head to show she was wearing a black metal helmet with a civil defense insignia on it. "Neat, huh? Let me show you what else is in here." "Kirsten, why didn't you answer me before? I thought something happened to you." "What could happen? It's just a big old closet filled with junk. Anyway, wait till you see what I found." By the way, does anyone know what a black metal helmet with a civil defense insignia is? Is that like Civil War? World War? I don't recognize what that is. You could have fainted in this heat. Giant rats could have attacked you. That's what might have happened." Okay, I'm sorry I didn't answer, but take a look at this stuff." The flashlight beam swept across a row of olive green uniforms, each starchily neat and wrinkle-free, each bearing insignias and stripes. "WAC uniforms," Kirsten said, fingering a cloth badge on the arm. "Real ones, 50 years old and in perfect condition." WAC, I don't know what that is either. WAC uniforms. "Well, she's old enough to have been in that war," Jessica said. "She's old enough to have been in the Revolutionary War," Kirsten said. "And look here." Just past the army uniforms was a rack of long, dark business dresses with wide lapels. From a box on the floor, Kirsten produced a small hat. "Says Ridgewood Hatters, 1936 in here. 1936. She put the hat on Jessica's head and pulled the net veil across her eyes. "Stunning, Jessica darling, just stunning." She didn't wait for a reaction from Jessica, but pulled her along the path a few feet. "And get a load of these." This time, Kirsten was holding out a short glittery dress with long fringe at the bottom. "It's roaring 20s time." She drew a long feather boa from the shoulders of another dress and wrapped it around herself. "How do I look?" "Like a bald-headed bird." Jessica wiped the sweat from her face. "It's too hot to mess around in here, Kirsten. Let's find Maurice and get out." Kirsten pushed the civil defense helmet up and used the boa to wipe her forehead. "I guess it is a little hot, but I still want to look around some. Let's go to the back of the closet, then you can find Maurice and I'll go through some boxes. I'll lead the way." What else is new? Jessica thought, trailing after Kirsten. The many angles in the path made walking slow, and Jessica found she had to step over boxes and shoes more often. More uniforms, Kirsten said in a hot, weary voice. "World War I think." "Probably," Jessica said. "Don't you think this closet is awfully big?" "I guess." Kirsten pushed past a frilly dress loaded with petticoats that Jessica recognized as turn-of-the-century vintage. "Probably runs the length of the house." "What?" "The closet. It probably runs the length of the house from one side to the other. Maybe it's just a big room, and she's loaded it up with clothes over the years. Kinda dumb if you ask me, but what do you expect from somebody who saves everything?" "I'm not sure all this is hers." Jessica held up a pair of worn riding boots. "These look ancient." "Look at this," Kirsten said, handing a brass button to Jessica and shining the light on it. "I stepped on it." There are letters on it. Says CSA. CSA? Jessica repeated the letters several times, rolling them inside her mouth. Consolidated Shoppers of America. Kirsten laughed at her own joke. "Get it? She has all of this stuff." "No, listen," Jessica blurted out. CSA, Confederate States of America. We're in the Civil War clothes." "Civil War?" Kirsten whisked the button out of Jessica's hand, scrutinized it carefully, then popped it into her pocket with the cat's eye. "Do you see the uniform it came from?" She was already pushing clothes aside, poking shafts of light everywhere in a frenzied search. "I can't find it in this mess. I know. We'll go to the back and then really search this area when we come out. See if you can remember where we are, okay?" "It's like we're in some kind of time machine," Jessica said, her voice a shaky whisper. "Every step we take moves us farther and farther back in time. Next, it'll be the War of 1812, then... Jessica, get real, will you? We're in an old lady's closet that's loaded with clothes and shoes and boots and a button or two." Kirsten aimed the light directly at Jessica's eyes. "Time machines are science fiction, and that's all. You read about them and don't walk in... you read about them and don't walk into them. But don't you feel it? The way the dresses are closing in on us, making us move forward. Hey, don't go all weird on me. We've still got a lot of exploring to do." "I'm not sure we should," Jessica said. Let's go back before what? Before it's too late? Kirsten's mocking tone had returned. Anyway, what about little Maurice? You were the one who wanted to find him, or do you want to leave him in the time machine with the evil dresses? It's not funny, Kirsten. Something's going on here, something strange. For all we know, Maurice might even be a part of it. We should go back. Oh, great. Now a cat has lured us into a time machine. Kirsten sounded angry. Look, you can go back if you want. I'm going to do some exploring. She turned and disappeared into the wall of clothes. Darkness was the first thing Jessica noticed. Total black darkness. And aside from Kirsten's shoving dresses aside just ahead, there wasn't a sound. So much for my good friend status, Jessica thought. It felt nice while it lasted. Maybe all the talk about the time machine was too much. Jessica began searching behind her for the path that would lead her to light and cool fresh air. She'd deal with Kirsten later, she decided. Maybe she'd be calmed down after she found a few more treasures. But where was the path? The path had disappeared, consumed by the The path had disappeared, consumed by the frilly petticoats, dresses, jackets, and coats. Jessica pushed aside the clothes, but was greeted by another wall of them, and another, and another. It's just a closet full of old clothes, Jessica told herself very deliberately. Nothing more. And if I walk directly back towards the door, I'll find my way out. Only she wasn't sure which direction led to the door. The zigzagging path had disoriented her enough that she could be headed toward one or the other side wall. The zigzagging path had disoriented her enough that she could be headed toward one or the other side walls. There was no telling in this space since she hadn't seen the walls at all. Then she looked up and gasped. Above her, clear and sharp, was a night sky filled with stars. "Oh, God," she whispered. Her hands had dropped to her sides, but she was still staring up at the twinkling lights. It can't be. It can't. This kind of stuff happened in those terrible movies, not in Mrs. Hayward's closet. She moved her body slightly and brushed against a dress. Pulling away from its touch, she hit another and spun, her arms flailing against fabric but never escaping it. "Kirsten!" she screamed. "Kirsten!" "What now?" came the reply. Jessica bolted toward the voice, located the path, and was with Kirsten a few steps later. "Look up," she said between pants of breath. "At the ceiling. There are stars above us, a closet with a sky and stars." Kirsten gave the ceiling a fleeting glance, then leveled a cold look on Jessica. "What are you talking about?" "Look at it. How can you deny it's the sky?" "She's poor. You said so yourself. She hasn't had the roof fixed in years, so now the roof has holes in it, and so does the closet, and so does your head. End of story." "Kirsten, end of story." Kirsten headed toward the source of the breeze. I'm really disappointed in you, Jessica. I thought you might be cool. You might fit in. But you can't even walk through a closet without freaking out. Jessica mumbled quietly as she followed along like a little kid, her eyes fixed on the floor in humiliation. She brushed past more clothes, older than any of the others, and with a homespun quality about them. But Jessica hardly noticed. She's right. I freaked out completely. The air grew steadily cooler, and Jessica thought she even felt a breeze brushing her cheek. Next, something crunched underfoot. It didn't take long for her to realize she'd stepped on a leaf. A bunch of leaves, actually. The floor was covered in them. The dresses here were plain, like those worn by early settlers. Suddenly, Kirsten stopped walking. "Jessica," Kirsten said. The tone of her voice had changed drastically, become hushed and shaky. "Look." When Jessica looked up, She saw that the clothes had disappeared in front of them. Only there was no closet wall either. Instead, they had stepped into a forest, a real one filled with tall trees, shrubs, and rocks. Jessica checked behind her. The clothes had disappeared too. They had stepped from the closet and entered a small clearing in a nighttime forest. "What's going on?" Kirsten asked. "I told you," Jessica said in a whisper. Just then, Maurice wandered into the clearing, directly across from them. He sat at the edge of the trees and meowed several times. Kirsten shined the light into Maurice's eyes. They glowed an eerie, deep green. "You useless bag of bones," she spit out. "I should have—" The words stuck in her mouth as the forest came alive, with dots of flickering golden light. Torches, Jessica realized. She looked around and discovered they were surrounded by torches, hundreds of them in a circle that was moving in on them. "We've got to run," Kirsten said, but wherever she turned she found a torch blocking her way. "Do something, you idiot! We've got to get out!" "I told you, but you wouldn't listen," Jessica repeated. "It's no use." "Can't you see what's happening? We're surrounded. We have to get out of here. We can escape if we try together." "To where?" Jessica asked. "The closet's gone." Figures began entering the clearing, all of them wearing long, draping cloaks with hoods. In the sputtering torchlight, the facial features were distorted and skeletal, sharply angled with deep-set eyes and stern expressions. Jessica felt herself growing weak-kneed. This is what kids felt like who were kidnapped and about to be tortured and killed. Death had a shape, a form, and it was inescapable. "Who are you?" Jessica screamed. "What do you want?" "You've done well, Eugenia," a woman said. "2 of them this time." "Only one interests us," came another woman's reply. Jessica felt her skin crawl. She knew that voice. The woman stepped forward and pushed the hood from her face. "Mrs. Hayward," Jessica said. "You can't do this to me," Kirsten yelled. "My father's important. He'll get you. He'll get you all. You better listen to me." Ignoring her, Mrs. Hayward stepped up to Kirsten and held out her hand, palm up. "What do you want?" Kirsten screamed. "I don't have anything of yours." The hand did not waver. "I told you, I don't—" Kirsten began sniffing back tears. Standing there in the torchlight, civil defense helmet tilted back, boa hanging limply from her shoulder, Kirsten looked even more pathetic than she sounded. "I don't—" Her voice faltered and then she fell silent. The next moment, Kirsten produced the Confederate button and dropped it into Mrs. Hayward's hand. "Mrs. Hayward," Jessica said, "we didn't mean any harm. We were just trying to, find something to do. Maurice went into the closet, so we followed him." I know, Jessica," Mrs. Hayward said, still looking at Kirsten. "We all face temptations, and some of us give in to them." She inched her hand forward and wiggled her fingers ever so slightly. Kirsten studied the hand, then lowered her eyes. She dug into her pocket and dropped the cat's eye into Mrs. Hayward's hand. "I wasn't going to keep it. I was going to give it back." "I'm sure," Mrs. Hayward said. "I was," Kirsten protested loudly, pointing an accusing finger at Jessica. "I was, but she said I should take it. She's as much to blame as me. Ask her. Go ahead." "I sorta am to blame," Jessica said, but Mrs. Hayward shook her head solemnly. "You were a follower, Jessica, like most people. That doesn't make you innocent, not by any means, but if there were no leaders, and here she glared at Kirsten, if there were no leaders, there would be no followers. That's how evil is born." Jessica hadn't noticed the hooded figures glide up behind Kirsten. At the moment Mrs. Hayward finished her sentence, the figures grabbed Kirsten's arms. Help me! Help me! With every word, Kirsten struggled to free her arms, her legs flailing wildly in the air. The flashlight fell to the ground, shattering its glass lens. Jessie! Jessie, do something! You have to help me! Jessica took a step forward toward Kirsten, not knowing what she should do. Before she had a chance to defend herself, her arms were seized and Mrs. Hayward positioned herself so she couldn't see Kirsten at all. Forget her, Mrs. Hayward said. She isn't worth your caring. But she's my friend. She's only here because I asked her to help me watch your cats. She never was your friend and never would have been. People like her only use other people. Mrs. Hayward put both hands on Jessica's shoulders, and a soothing reassurance took hold of the girl. You're safe now, Jessica. But Kirsten, Jessica said, what are you going to do with her? Something good. Something to spare her and the world Something to spare her and the world the meanness she possesses. Believe me, she will feel no pain, none whatsoever, and when we're finished, she will be rid of her evil forever. As Kirsten's terrified screams filled the clearing in the forest, Jessica felt herself growing detached from the scene, almost as if she were backing out of the clearing. She moved farther and farther away from the action and realized something for the first time. They're witches, she thought. Then darkness filled Jessica's eyes and she saw and heard nothing else. A glass clinked gently before Jessica saw or sensed anything else. Her eyes opened and Mrs. Hayward was leaning toward her. I said, would you like some more water, dear? Mrs. Hayward's smile was friendly and reassuring. Jessica looked at her empty glass. How did I get here? She wondered. She couldn't recall getting or drinking the water. In fact, she didn't remember anything much about the day. No thanks, she mumbled. She glanced around the room. Yes, she remembered the room and the furniture and the cats lounging all around. That much was familiar. And the cat-sitting job. The cloud in her mind began to lift. She and Kirsten were supposed to watch the cats. Kirsten! Suddenly, from deep within, she heard Kirsten's last screams for help, screams aimed directly at her. She looked at Mrs. Hayward. It happens, Jessica. Eventually, you will remember it all and accept it. Or no, it happened, Jessica. Eventually, you will remember it all and accept it. Where is she? Jessica asked. She pulled away from the old woman, though she felt no real alarm. It was as if she'd been given a drug that neutralized her emotions. I'll never accept it. I'll never understand. You will, Jessica. Trust me, you will. Maurice jumped up onto the couch next to Mrs. Hayward and nuzzled her arm. Mrs. Hayward's hooded robe was gone, replaced by a flower-print dress with a white lace collar, all the soft innocence of a past age. Jessica will understand, won't she, Maurice? Maurice looked up at his mistress. See, Maurice agrees, and he should know. But you're a witch, Jessica said. Witches are like everybody else, all shapes and sizes and kinds. You happen to bump into the good kind. But they'll miss her parents and friends, and, of course, for a time, and the police will come around with lots of questions too. And I'll tell them everything, Jessica thought. I'll show them. And here she blurted out, the closet. Mrs. Hayward smiled faintly. And that's all they'll find. A small closet with a rack of clothes and nothing more. Nothing. But they'll find... Her voice dropped off then, unable to say the name. Kirsten? Mrs. Hayward suggested. I'm afraid not. Another runaway, they'll call her. A sad case indeed. There are witnesses who saw you two leave here, and witnesses who saw her at the train station. Good, reputable citizens. Old and young. Some of your schoolmates, too." Jessica's eyes narrowed. "Witnesses? There are a lot of us around," Mrs. Hayward explained. "In schools, in government, in the police department, everywhere. You'll come to appreciate our numbers in time as well. So feel free to tell anyone and everyone your story. I doubt if they'll believe you. They might even think you had something to do with her disappearance." Jessica felt as if she'd been lured into a room that had no doors or windows. She knew that the truth was just beyond the walls, just inches away, but there was no real way to get other people to touch or even see it. Her story sounded fantastic even to her, and she'd experienced it. Imagine what other people would say when she mentioned a never-ending closet filled with clothes that led her and Kirsten to a pack of 18th century witches. "Don't feel bad about it, Jessica. Kirsten wasn't a very nice girl. It wasn't in her to be, and to allow her to grow up and develop those skills, to learn how to manipulate hundreds, maybe even thousands of people so that they believe in her and let her run their lives. Well, we couldn't let that happen. Too many people might be hurt. No, we're all better off without Kirsten, the one we knew, that is." Jessica couldn't make eye contact with the old woman, so she searched the floor for a cat and studied it for a few moments. "Let yourself be honest," Mrs. Hayward added. "If you could stop a river from flooding a town, you'd do it, wouldn't you? If you could stop a malignant tumor from spreading, you'd do that, too. And wouldn't the world have been better off if someone had stopped Hitler before he seized power?" Oh, shit. All right, sorry, let me read that again. "And wouldn't the world have been better off if someone had stopped Hitler before he seized power? But Kirsten wasn't like him. She wasn't very nice, but she never murdered anyone. In her heart she had. Her heart was as black as the night. We, my friends and I, we can see these things before you. We can't stop every one of them, but we do try to spare the world as much evil as we can." Eliminate evil before it has a chance to do evil, Jessica thought. That was like finding people guilty and sentencing them before they actually committed a crime. It didn't seem fair, and yet she had felt the sharp slap of Kirsten's words, and they had hurt her as much as any fist. Kirsten was capable of doing bad things, had, in fact, led others to do them too. "Don't you think that's a good thing to do?" "I don't know," Jessica whispered. "Maybe." This is too confusing, Jessica thought. It made sense, but something still didn't seem right. Jessica looked at Mrs. Hayward. What happened to Kristen? "Oh, she's right inside having a snack." "Kirsten." "Kirsten," Mrs. Hayward called. "Kirsten." Jessica heard the tread first, light and quick and self-assured. Next came the clicking of nails on the wooden floor. A kitten entered the living room and leaped up onto the couch, gently pushing Maurice's head to the side so it could get its ears rubbed. "Jessica, I'd like you to meet Kirsten. The good part of her, that is." "Good part?" Jessica questioned. All of the other cats came into the room and sat on the rug, watching Jessica carefully. "Yes, the good part." Mrs. Hayward opened an end-table drawer and searched through a small pile of marbles until she found the right one. "And here is the bad part of her." Mrs. Hayward gave it to Jessica. It was a dazzling cat's eye marble with a deep blue center that looked exactly like Kirsten's eyes. "You can take it home if you'd like to start your own collection. It's quite harmless now." And that was Chapter 8, Cat's Eye. Whew, boy, that was actually, I think, my favorite one so far. That was a really good one. I had a feeling it was going there, but yeah. I really thought both the girls were gonna die, and it was gonna be like, well, it doesn't matter if it was your idea or not. If you follow along, you get what everyone else gets, or something like that. I couldn't read the chat though while I was reading though, so I'll take a look at it now. Does this mean Cat Hitler? No, Hitler's the cat that got away, basically. You called it while Kirsten was first lost in the closet. She's coughing up hairballs. Can't believe you backed off that prediction. Yeah, you called it. If you called it, then that's amazing. A cat with human eyes. It doesn't sound so cute when you say it like that. True, credit where credit's due. Yep. You really like this one. Yeah, me too. That sure does blow the freaking Twilight one out of the water. I don't know why they started with that one. It's not reflective of the serious ones that follow after that. I mean, practically every chapter seems to have had a kid either die or, something really bad happen to them. Let's see. Okay, but here's a theory. Here's a little theory, and I gave a theory like this back when we read that vampire one way back when. But what if that witch just lied? Like, Jessica has no way of knowing if, oh yes, Kirsten would have grown up to be a monster. You know what I mean? What if she's literally just saying that because she, I don't know. Like, what if she ate the kid? I don't know. That doesn't make sense then, because then where did the kitten come from? And then, why did the cat's eye look like her eyes? I'm just saying, though, that'd be a really good, double switch. Eat kids and then convince other kids that it was the right thing to do. That would be a good witch's game. What was I going to say? But yeah, I wonder if the witch could tell, like, I think there's actually, isn't there like a brain scan you can do to find out if someone just completely lacks empathy or like certain human emotions? I don't know if that's a rumor or not, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. You liked the vampire one? It was a nice twist. Yeah, it was. I was just expecting death and fighting and stuff rather than just, hey, be a vampire, it's cool. I still have my own theory about that one, where they basically just, where it's actually not good to become a vampire because you do lose pieces of you. And I think I saw that reflected in the dialogue of some of the kids that had become vampires. They talked about not feeling fear ever again. But, what does that mean when you're not afraid for the people around you, And, they were draining their parents every time the parents didn't like what the parents said. And that's scary behavior, So, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's all just pro-witch propaganda. Creepy stories are not usually your thing, but this one was cool. Your voice was nice and soothing. I think I dozed a little. Yeah, good. I'm glad I didn't mess it up too much. I wrecked it a couple times, but I think I kept my flubs to under 30, maybe? I don't know. It felt like under 30. But yeah, that's the reality of recording audiobooks. Reading them is fun and fine, but the whole time you're like, oh god, I made that mistake. I can't wait to take, 2 minutes getting it out of the recording. You know what I mean? It's editing audiobooks that sucks, in my opinion. All right, well, still on the short side, but that is about the end of the stream. And I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We had a real quick game. Actually, there's some similarities between the nun game, the stone whatever orphanage, and the story we just read. You know what I mean? An older woman basically taking advantage of and doing awful things to kids. I'm assuming the demon nun was eating them, even if this witch claims that what she was doing was for the better. Because, unless there's like some surefire way to see the future, you never really know. You can't just look at someone and say, oh, they're a manipulative, bossy little kid, so totally, get rid of her, Reminder, all of that was written in the letter the guy got. Yeah. I don't know if that fits really well. I can't imagine Alan Allen, 90-year-old Alan Allen, writing the dialogue between these two teenaged girls who clearly were from modern times. So I have to wonder if the graveyard parts were written separately, almost not knowing what the following short stories would be, interspersed between them. Because it, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But hey, it's 90s, I'm not complaining. Vigilante witch. Huge ass envelope. Yep. All right. Well, thank you for everybody that came over and decided to watch the stream. Hope everybody has a good rest of their day. I'll probably see you tomorrow or the day after that. Hope everyone's doing well. And, yeah. Have a good rest of your day. And stay well rested and make sure you're getting enough good food to eat. Goodbye. Bye.